about the new covenant on this morning. Jeremiah chapter 31. I just want to look at one aspect of the new covenant. Jeremiah chapter 31, and if you have the wherewithal to go ahead and place your fingers at a couple of other places, Luke 22, and 20, and also 2 Corinthians 3 and 6. That's a lot to ask. Let me pose this question while you are turning. Pretty broad, but are you living Christianly, or are you living conveniently? These texts are going to help us look at a particular aspect of what I want to get to, but Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31 reads, "Behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, and not like the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, my covenant which they broke, although I was a husband to them, declares the Lord. But this, the covenant which I will make with them, the house of Israel, after those days, declares the Lord, I will put my law within them, and on their heart I will write, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. They will not teach again each man his neighbor, and each man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they will all know me. From the least of them to the greatest of them, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin I will remember no more." The context, real briefly, is one of captivity. Jeremiah has already prophesied captivity for Israel by the Babylonians. But even in the midst of captivity, there is a glimmer of hope. The glimmer of hope is that one day this covenant that you've continuously broken as a people will be done away with, and a new covenant will take its place. He says, this new covenant will be one to which I'm going to take your heart, and I'm going to write my law upon it. So it's not that you'll necessarily have to go and try to do good. You would not necessarily have to go and try to be obedient to what God says, but I'm going to take my heart, take your heart, and write my law upon it. And so everything that you do, think, and desire will be of me in accordance with my law. Because he says, even when I was with you, even when I was with Israel, I was your husbandman. I led you by the pillar of cloud by day and the fire by night. You still weren't able to do right. So he says, this new covenant will now give you that ability. No longer will you go and say to your man, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, know the Lord. Because he says, all will know me. He said, you'll have a knowledge of me. You'll have a deeper relationship with me under this new covenant. Flip over to Luke 22 and 20. In that passage, we have the new covenant predicted. This passage, we have the new covenant in a preliminary sense enacted. Verse 14, let's go to verse 14 real quick. When the hour had come, he reclined at the table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them, I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say to you, I shall never eat it again until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God. And when he had taken a cup and given thanks, he said, Take this and share it among yourselves. For I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine from now on until the kingdom comes. And when he had taken some bread and given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Verse 20, and in the same way, he took the cup after they had eaten, saying, This cup which is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. This meal is basically, Jesus basically saying that what I'm going to do, even though you might understand it, what I'm going to do within the next few hours is the enactment of this new covenant. And the disciples would tell you, if they could today, we didn't understand it at this point in time. He says, but it was only after the event had happened that we really got it. And so by Jesus' death, his blood is enacting this new covenant that we read about in Jeremiah 31. Last passage, let's go to 2 Corinthians 3 and 6.
Excellent. Excellent.
And for contextual purposes, let's start at verse 4. Such confidence we have through Christ toward God. Not that we are adequate in ourselves to consider anything as coming from ourselves, but our adequacy is from God, who also made us adequate as servants of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. So I rephrase my question, or I repeat my question: are we living Christianly, or are we living conveniently? Now, what I mean by that, you look at a particular aspect of the new covenant, it is the idea of forgiveness. Jesus would say in his Sermon on the Mount, he says, what is it that you forgive those, or what is it that you do good to those that do good to you? What is it that you meet evil for evil? He says anybody can do that. But if you look at what God did for his people in the new covenant, you look at what Jesus has done for all of humanity in Luke 22, it is the idea that he has forgiven humanity of all their sins. And so then we get to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Paul says we are servants, we are mediators of the new covenant. And so what that means for us is that Christian living is the idea of forgiveness. To forgive is distinctly Christian, because you're not doing anybody a favor when you're only treating them as good as they have treated you. You're not doing anybody a favor per se when you repaying evil for evil, but only when you have the ability to consistently forgive when you've been wrong, to forgive when somebody's talked about you, to forgive when you haven't, when somebody's done something that you don't think they should have done, is distinctly Christian. So I pose to us again: are we living Christianly, or are we living conveniently?